Conservative Broadcast Journal is now streaming. We report on U.S. and world news by creating a whiteboard forensic analysis. And now, streaming worldwide from the CBJ Production Studios, here is our forensic investigative journalist, Larry Boltz.
The title of our show is Are Mass Shootings Contrived? Welcome to the show. Today's topic involves a highly controversial subject. In lieu of this, I only plan to implement the most careful and basic forensic data. So this brings us to today's show title, Are Mass Shootings Contrived? Now, before you click out of here, hear me out. If you follow along carefully, you will be able to connect the dots as we present 9 forensic observations concerning mass shootings. Forensic observation is an established science, and we have created a forensic report about shootings and mass shootings, but more importantly, we'll be looking at the cause and effect of shootings. Let's get started by taking some notes right here on our legal pad. And this is a very serious broadcast today. Here's point number 1 of our forensic outline. A pattern emerges when examined critically. As we move along, I recently did a Google search. I typed in the words mass shooting. In about 0.52 seconds, I got exactly 287 million results. These were Google's actual numbers, although the results vary each time you render a search of this nature. Now, while most homicides receive little attention from liberal news agencies, mass shooting incidents are covered extensively. Furthermore, according to a recent Harvard Business School report entitled The Impact of Mass Shootings on Gun Policy, of the roughly 30,000 annual gun deaths reported in the United States, fewer than 100 occur in mass shootings. Yet mass shootings get top coverage by liberal news agencies. Why? I often have given this much thought. As I began to study these mass shootings, I began to see patterns emerge when contemplated critically. Forensic point 2. Mass shooting events have observable repeating patterns. Okay. One day while researching, something absolutely dreadful occurred to me. The thought was so dreadful I dismissed it as ludicrous. However, as I continued studying the various characteristics of shootings and mass shootings, a dreadful suspicion kept returning. Yet, being a critical thinker, I needed to compile some facts to validate my suspicions and intuitive impressions. When I began my research, I knew for certain that these mass shooting events had observable repeating patterns to them. Subsequently, I have reached the conclusion that these mass shootings can be forensically proven, wait for it, to be of a contrived nature. As I said earlier, hear me out before you cast this thought to the wind and click out of here. Forensic point number 3. Mass shootings have a recognizable mode of operation. The FBI employs the use of forensic experts and psychological profilers to find patterns to human behavior, such as that which is related to the act of committing a crime. Now, thieves, murderers, and serial killers, just to name a few offender types, all have established patterns of behavior known to law enforcement professionals as modus operandi, which is a term that borrows its meaning from 2 Latin words, which is translated as mode of operation, or more specifically defined as a particular way or method of doing something, especially methods that are characteristic of a well-established behavioral pattern. This is known in short to law enforcement professionals simply as a perpetrator's MO. So, every human behavior has an observable MO. Let's turn that page, and that brings us to forensic point number 4. Forensic profiling suggests that mass shootings are indeed contrived events. Forensic profiling and forensic journalism is a known science. It's not theoretical or fantasy. In other words, forensic observation should be able to reveal methods in which these mass shootings occur. Therefore, the trained eye should be able to clearly see the perpetrator's handiwork repeating itself. Now, if this is the case, the methods employed in recruiting a shooter candidate, his or her training and psychological preparation, and the implementation of the shooting event can be clearly deduced using profiling and forensic technique. Point number 5. Forensic analysis reveals mass shooting reporting comes from a centralized source. As we move forward, some simple observations revealed that most liberal news coverage concerning mass shootings seem to come from a centralized source. In fact, the bulk of news reporting from the left reveal content that has been scripted from a singular source. Every news article written about a mass shooting uses the same words and expressions. After extensive profiling and research, I discovered that the pattern of writing, the presentation of writing style, suggests that these articles are written by the same individuals. The patterns are very noticeable and never seem to stray from content and writing style. Once written, all of the liberal news agencies parrot the content. Point number 6 in our outline is, gun control seems to fuel mass shooting events. As we move forward in the outline, every decision concerning gun control seems to be fueled by the reactions from the left directly after a reported mass shooting. The pattern never alters. These shooting events are widely covered by leftist news outlets. 911 proved that any kind of weapon can be used to implement terrorism, a plane, a plastic knife, fertilizer, as in the case of Rodney McVeigh. The examples are numerous, albeit no legislation has ever arisen that suggested that any of these types of weapons and materials be banned or confiscated. Yet, directly on the heels of every mass shooting, the focus is on gun control. So in reality, it seems clear that mass shootings are not fueling gun control. It's gun control fueling mass shootings. The formula is simple, folks. If you want to create a police state, you must convince the people to give up their weapons and their guns. Our forefathers were intelligent enough to know this. Furthermore, they also understood that the Second Amendment is crucial to America's survival. Forensic point number 7. A masterpiece of psychological conditioning seems to be at play. Notice further that when it comes to gun control, it seems the left has their news agencies, reporters, lawyers, politicians, and leftist pundits ready to go the very moment a mass shooting is reported. Almost as if, well, they already knew about it beforehand. Oh, but how dare I suggest that, right? Notice further that, as follow-up to every mass shooting, unerring clockwork and precision is implemented, and the news articles and the reports which follow already seem to be crafted, written, and ready to go with unprecedented speed and accuracy. The articles always contain those all-too-familiar words in some context or another: mass shooting. Indeed, the words mass shooting has been morphed by the leftist media into a trigger phrase, no pun intended, to induce hatred for guns. Well, it's a masterpiece of psychological conditioning. Make no mistake about that. It's happening. And now we move on as we turn page to our next point. Point number 8. A pattern emerges in how mass shootings are reported by the left. Make no mistake about it, folks, gun control is fueling mass shootings, but the left wants to go after guns instead of addressing the cause and effect of these mass shootings. So therefore, if these shootings are indeed contrived, the cause and effect would not be addressed. That's logical. One thing is for certain: mass killings where guns are implemented meets with the left's political agenda for promoting the confiscation of firearms far better than a mass killing where explosives or some other form of deadly force is used. Unmistakably, a pattern emerges not just in the manner in which a mass shooting occurs, but also in the manner in which it is reported by the left. Our final point, number 9. All aspects regarding mass shootings seem to promote an end game. Now, this is a good one. Simply put, therefore, it is without question that mass shootings result in the promotion of gun control, period. The drive to confiscate our weapons can only end tragically for our republic. Recognizing that every aspect concerning mass shootings can be forensically observed and predicted with great accuracy, including how these shootings occur, when they occur, the reporting of these mass shootings, and the political reactions to these shootings, all seem to arrive to an end game. If this is true, then it becomes even more clearly understood that the left will stop at nothing to promote their global communism 3.0 political agenda. And now, ladies and gentlemen, for our conclusion to our broadcast today. Putting my observations and theories aside momentarily, if election fraud, lying, cheating, shooting people, medical fraud, planning and implementing a pandemic, genocide, defrauding the American public, subverting our electoral process, undermining the principles of our constitutional republic, pedophilia, and sacrificing children to Moloch doesn't convince you that left is evil and must be stopped, then you are dull indeed, my friend. It seems even more obvious to me now that employing unconventional methods may be our only answer to stopping them, albeit most Americans would prefer the rule of law to prevail. If countermeasures are employed, those measures need to be a very organized form of resistance and not a chaotic street brawl, because at this juncture, it is important to understand, folks, tyranny has arrived on American soil. Make no mistake about it. I want to thank you for being on the broadcast today, or our live streaming here on Conservative Broadcast Journal. Till next report, so long.